Hi there, I'm Carolyn Morris of Carolyn Morris Fighting for You, and I'm here with Anna Wilhelmi today, who is running for state's attorney in DeKalb County, Illinois. And I just wanted to bring her here and ask her a little bit about what she's running for and why she's running. So Anna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Yes, hi Carolyn, thank you so much for having me. So yes, I am running for state's attorney. I have been practicing law since 1996, so I've had my own practice for 20 years. I did work previously in the public defender's office. I've got a really strong criminal justice background, although right now I'm doing real estate transactions. My foundation is in criminal law. So the state's attorney's office, the duties of the state's attorney's office are to basically prosecute the laws of the state, as well as represent the county, so that if the county itself has an issue, the county board, that the state's attorney would help them and figure out the problem, and if necessary, file suit or defend one. Okay. The state's attorney's office also prosecutes orders of protection. It prosecutes domestic violence cases, murder cases. It also supports child support, so it helps in enforcement. So there's a lot of duties that the state's attorney holds that I'm very familiar with. So that is the duties really of the state's attorney's office in a nutshell, right?
Cool.
So the reason, yeah. So the reason I'm running for state's attorney is not only that I have the background, right, for being in that position, but at this time in criminal justice, there is this reform movement happening. And so even the president is on board when he signed the First Step Act with Cory Booker, that, with criminal justice reform. So it's a first step, so even the administration is involved. And also Illinois is on board. So Illinois is also passing laws, and they're considering passing laws about eliminating cash bail. Okay, so this is just an excellent time for me. And, when Elijah Cummings, before he passed away, the congressman, and said, what did you do to keep your democracy intact? And it's like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And so I feel like I could do a really good job serving the community and helping the community move forward in that direction.
That's awesome. So can you explain to me what is bad about cash bail? Like why would we want to change that?
Yes. So cash bail is discriminatory on its face. Okay. So the thing is that if you have, the best way to explain this is an example. Say, for example, domestic violence situation. Okay, where the person has hurt someone, right? And so, but in domestic violence situations, a lot of times they're still kind of more minimized than they should be, right? So they can potentially be very violent, or they could potentially be, minimally violent, right? So, but the fact is that it is a tense situation sometimes. So what happens is, and I'm using this as an example, but it's not the only, example. But say, for example, they set the bond at $30,000, or the bail at $30,000. That means they need $3,000 to get out. Okay, and then you have someone of minimal means, okay, who's poor, right? And they work two jobs in the family, and they set the bond at $3,000. And then you have someone who is well off and has committed the same crime, same background, but they have money to pay. So you have two people in the same situation, right? As far as circumstances, one can afford to get out and one cannot. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's just simply discriminatory, and I may not be using the proper example, but it is an example that can be used. Or a drug case. It's the same. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it makes perfect sense, because here we are, we've got two people, same exact wrong thing that they did, but we're saying that somehow because one person can pay to get out, that they're safer? No, they're just as dangerous as the other person. And so it should be different. And so eliminating cash bail would then become what? So how do you balance that? Excuse me.
Yes. So there's other ways that you can structure, right? Which we already use in our criminal justice system, but we can use it more. So there's electronic monitoring. which is kind of expensive, but we can take money and move it so that it's not so expensive and prohibitory, right? So there's electronic monitoring where the person would stay in the home. There's curfew where the person would be home by a certain time, and probation officers monitor those things. And these things are happening now, right? They would just be on a grander scale, right? So you've got curfew, you've got electronic monitoring you can use, you've got other ways. There's even like, if you wanted to do like where somebody would, like if there is a dangerous person, you keep them in custody, right? I mean, that's bottom line. They shouldn't be able to bail out for $50,000, okay? So if you have a dangerous person, you keep them in custody, you know, until you dispose of the case or you determine that they're no longer a threat to others, right? So, or if there is a situation where this person is a repeat offender, okay, which happens, you know, in a certain percentage of cases. So repeat offenders are, you know, I mean, they go out and they repeat and do, you know, say, for example, a burglary or whatever it is, which can become dangerous if it's a home invasion or if it's a residential burglary or something like that. So, you know, there's other ways than money to monitor defendants.
Sure. So what are the other issues with states? So how, you know, in my ignorance, I'm going to ask, how does the current state's attorney do it, and how would you do it differently? And so is this cash bail, for example, is this an example of something you would do differently than what the current state's attorney is doing?
Yes. So there are, you know, they have, since the Bail Act of 2017, there are more like guidance and rules about letting people go on lower level crimes, okay? But there is still, it needs to be taken to a grander extent and just say, you know what, we need to address this issue, okay? So the state's attorney now, yes, there is guidance, right, with this act from 2017, where, you know, and the judge, you know, Chief Judge Stucker is on board with that, right? So that, you know, we're moving in the right direction, okay, as far as eliminating cash bail. We just need to get there, right? We need to get there and we need to get it done and we need to say, yes, this is our policy.
Awesome. So what other things would you change?
So the other things that I would change, okay, so I know that we just built a new jail in DeKalb, right? So we need to change our ideas about sentencing, okay? So we get in this habit of, well, you know what, we're just going to incarcerate people. In the United States, you know, we have this problem with mass incarceration, and it is laced with the racism, okay? I mean, if you talk with a Black person, you know, versus a white educated, college educated white person, you're looking at the issue differently a lot of times, okay? So when we look at ending mass incarceration, okay, Black men are incarcerated like 4 to 1 compared to white men, okay? So it is laced with racism, and it's an institutional thing. It's not like saying, oh, you are racist and you are racist. It is, we are raised in a society that's laced with racism that was built on slavery, okay? So when we come into mass incarceration and we look at it, okay, it's not solving any problems, it's creating them. So it's creating a problem with people economically, especially Black people economically. The families are destroyed. You know, we've got, you know, it's just keeping these institutional problems in place, you know, as far as economic and family structures and so on.
As a side note, how much money would that save the county, you know, shifting away from incarceration as much? You know, how much money could you save, and what types of offenses would you suggest, like, all right, these are ones that maybe we don't need to incarcerate anymore for?
Yes, well, particularly drugs, right? So this whole this mass incarceration really kicked in like the 70s and 80s, okay, where we had this war on drugs, okay? So that's like, it was, you know, so we've got other alternatives, and we've got a drug treatment program in DeKalb, okay, with the court system, and Chief Judge Stucker handles that, right? So we have the system there, okay, for drugs. Right. And when opiate problems started coming forward and parents were complaining and saying, hey, you know, there's an issue with opiates. We need to get treatment for our children. What are you doing, right? But before opiates hit, before white parents, right, that have these higher level drugs, before that, there was crack cocaine. There was cocaine on the streets. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's marijuana on the corners. So we need to look at drugs differently. And I'm in agreement that we have to look at them differently, okay, and treat the person, all right, and then because they're going to come back out in society,
right?
So if we put them in jail, not only has we've destroyed their family structure, we've destroyed their issues economically, because who wants to hire a felon, right? So when you get tagged a felon, it's like impossible to get a job. So you've got things that you can do as alternative sentencing and diversion, as far as drugs especially, okay, that won't cause so much harm.
And so how much power does the state's attorney have over that? Would you as state's attorney, you suggest this stuff to the judge, or how exactly does that work?
Well, the state's attorney's position has quite a bit of power, okay, but it is a system. So you've got the judge, who you want to be on board, and I think that judge would be on board. I think that could happen, and you've also got to have the police departments on board, okay? So, but the state's attorney makes the ultimate decision in deciding the charges and ultimately what to recommend to the judge, okay? So if the state's attorney wants people to be able to come back out into society after being charged with drug crimes, right? And actually cause less harm to their family structures and actually get them help, right? So that they don't have to face being necessarily a felon, which we do have pretrial diversion for that. And like I said, I want to premise this with, there are programs, right, already in the state's attorney's office that we can expand upon and make better, right? And use more. So these, definitely, the treatment programs are something that we want to make bigger and better.
So Anna, tell me a little bit about you personally. I know you have a bunch of animals and stuff like that. Let us know who's Anna Wilhelmi, because I think people love to hear more about you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, so, all right. So I grew up in Joliet. And so I wanted to be a veterinarian. I ended up being a lawyer. I had gone to my first protest when I was 14 years old. And it was a Nazi demonstration. And I went with my sister, who was assisting. Yeah. And so we both went, we drove out. My sister had just gotten her license. She was 16 years old and I was 14. And we're going to go protest the Nazis in Marquette Park. Right. So we went there, and it was just an incredible experience for me, which I think is where I kind of took a real turn in my little life at that time, in my mind, when I met someone who had actually lost her family in the concentration camps. So she had a tattoo on her arm with numbers, and she showed it to us, and she explained to us how she lost her family. And it just changed my life right there. So after that, I wanted to go into criminal justice. And I wanted to empower myself and empower others, and just kind of like go in that direction. Like, what kind of government would allow someone to get tattooed and, take away their family and kill them, right? Like, that was the government. That was laws. It was lawful to do that, So it changed my life. At that point, even though I was young, right? So it cast me in a different direction. So the reason, so I have all my animals, right? I have 5 horses. I want to get back to that. I have 5 horses. They're my pets, and I love them. I'm out on a farm in a little 5 acres in Earlville. Okay, I ended up out here just because that's the other part of my life, other than criminal justice, right? So, and then I have 4 dogs. I have chickens, and I have a garden, and I just enjoy. And I'm amongst another farm that's like 200 acres, right? So I actually have been divorced twice. So, and I don't have any children. I did have cancer back in 1998, and it was ovarian cancer. And so I was in my 30s, so I never ended up having any children, which I don't know if I would have decided or not whether to have children, but that kind of made a decision for me at the time. So, that's just a little bit about myself. So I don't have any kids, but my animals are definitely my children.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I so appreciate you sharing all that, Anna, because yeah, no, I didn't know that about you, and I've known you for a couple of years now, I feel like, and so I really appreciate you sharing all of those details and that background, and it's really it's it's intimate information. So thank you for sharing that. And
Yes.
I wanted to tell you, I got a cat. I can't find it right now, but I got a cat. So we finally got our first pet in our house, and my youngest children are really into animals. They wanted a dog, so
Oh,
we decided to foster through Tails, and so we fostered this lovely. I don't know, I want to like call it, because this cat is like a dog cat. So we're really lucky. Tails was going to send us this cat that was like, oh, it needs to be in a house with no other pets. And I was like, yeah, that's great. But I do have 4 pretty wild children. And I don't know if that cat is going to like my kid. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
they were like, oh, I see what you're saying. They're like, we'll find you the right cat. And they sent us a different foster. Sorry, I have to cough. They sent us a different foster, and it's this beautiful yellow. What is the word for that when they're like, it looks like Garfield? It's like I don't know. Everybody has
Debbie.
tabby. Yeah, it's a tabby, and it's so affectionate. Like from the day it got here, like the
Oh,
day we walked in the door with it, it like sat down in the front hall, and like, you know how cats like lay there, just like laid in the front hall. And I was like, oh, you're pretty okay, you're chill, all right, good. And then like, all the kids can be screaming and running and acting insane, and the cat's like, yeah, what nothing. This is fine,
wonderful.
yeah. So we're thrilled. So
Yes,
we
Carolyn, that is so cool that that you got to foster this cat, and I'm sure the cat is just like, yes, this is home. So
Well, this
that's
has been
very, very
lovely,
awesome.
Anna. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And so, everyone, this is Anna Wilhelmi. She's running for DeKalb County State's Attorney. And Anna, do you have any last words you want to share?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Carolyn, and I know that you're really busy with your masters, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Anna. This was really great.